The security guard stood frozen at the gate, his hand hovering over his radio. Something was wrong. The woman approaching him walked with too much confidence for someone who had just been denied entry 3 times. Her heels clicked against the pavement like a countdown. Behind her, a sleek black car idled with its engine purring, and beside her walked a German shepherd that moved like liquid shadow. Marcus had been guarding this estate for 7 years. He knew the rules. No visitors without confirmation. No exceptions. The owner was away on business, and his instructions had been crystal clear. But this woman, Camilla, she had called herself, seemed completely unbothered by his refusals. "Ma'am, I've already explained," Marcus said, keeping his voice steady and professional. "I cannot let you through without authorization from Mr. Thornton himself." Camilla stopped just 3 feet from the gate. The morning sun caught the edge of her sunglasses. She didn't smile. She didn't argue. She simply tilted her head slightly and said one word to the dog, "Zeus." The German shepherd's ears perked up immediately. Marcus felt his heart rate spike. His hand moved closer to the panic button. He had been trained for aggressive dogs. He had pepper spray on his belt. But something in the way the animal looked at him made his throat go dry. Before you find out what happens next. If you love stories that grip your heart and refuse to let go, hit that subscribe button. This channel brings you real emotional journeys that will stay with you long after the video ends. Now, back to what happened at that gate. Zeus didn't bark. He didn't growl. Instead, he walked forward slowly, his eyes locked on Marcus. The guard's training kicked in. Don't run. Don't show fear. Maintain eye contact. But the dog wasn't acting aggressive. He was acting ... trained, controlled, purposeful. "Ma'am, call your dog back right now or I will be forced to." "Forced to what?" Camilla interrupted, her voice calm as glass. "Make a mistake that will cost you everything you've worked for?" Marcus's finger was on the panic button now. One press and backup would arrive in minutes. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the certainty in her voice. Maybe it was the way Zeus sat down right in front of him, looking up with intelligent eyes that seemed almost human. "Zeus isn't here to hurt you," Camilla said, taking a single step forward. "He's here to show you something. Something about the man you work for. Something you need to see before it's too late." The guard felt sweat forming on his forehead despite the cool morning air. He had a wife at home. A daughter starting college next year. This job paid for their lives. One wrong decision could destroy everything. "I don't know what game you're playing," Marcus said, his voice harder now. "But you need to leave now, before I call the police." Camilla reached into her jacket pocket. Marcus's hand went to his pepper spray, but she only pulled out a photograph. She held it up so he could see it from where he stood. The image was grainy, but clear enough. It showed Mr. Thornton, his employer, standing next to 2 men Marcus didn't recognize. They were shaking hands outside what looked like a warehouse. Nothing unusual. Except for the date stamped in the corner. That photograph was taken 3 weeks ago. The same night Mr. Thornton's business partner had disappeared. The same night the police had come to the estate asking questions. The same night Marcus had been told to deny anyone entry, no matter what. "Still want to press that button?" Camilla asked softly. Zeus stood up again, his tail swaying gently. He walked past Marcus to the gate control panel and sat down beside it. The dog turned his head to look at the guard, then at the panel, and back at Marcus. It was like watching a person trapped in a dog's body. Marcus felt his world tilting. 7 years of loyal service. 7 years of never asking questions. 7 years of doing his job perfectly. And now this woman and her impossible dog were unraveling everything in a matter of minutes. "Who are you?" he whispered. Camilla lowered her sunglasses. Her eyes were cold and clear. "I'm someone who trains dogs to find the truth," she said. "And Zeus just found something buried on this property that's going to change your life forever." Marcus's mind raced through the past 3 weeks. The late-night deliveries he'd been told to ignore. The strange cars that came and went without logging in. The way Mr. Thornton had looked at him the day after his business partner vanished. Not with trust, but with calculation. "You're insane," Marcus said, but his voice cracked on the last word. "Whatever conspiracy theory you're selling, I'm not buying it." Camilla pocketed the photograph. She glanced at her watch with the casual ease of someone who knew exactly how this would end. "Zeus," she said quietly. "Show him." The German shepherd turned and walked along the fence line, nose to the ground. He moved with the precision of a trained professional, stopping every few feet to sniff the air. Marcus watched, confused, until Zeus stopped at a section of fence near the old groundskeeper's shed. The dog sat down and looked back at Camilla. She nodded. Zeus began to dig. "Hey, stop that!" Marcus shouted, finally moving from his post. He ran toward the dog, but Camilla stepped smoothly into his path. "I wouldn't," she said. Her voice hadn't changed, but something in her stance made Marcus stop cold. This wasn't just some random woman. She moved like someone with training. Military, maybe. Or law enforcement. "Who are you really?" Marcus demanded. "I already told you. I train dogs." Camilla tilted her head toward Zeus, who was still digging. "But I used to train people too. Federal investigators, specifically. Before I realized dogs are more honest than most humans I've met." Marcus felt his stomach drop. Federal. The word hung in the air like poison. Zeus stopped digging and backed, away from the hole he'd created. He barked once. Sharp. Urgent. Camilla walked over and looked down. Even from several feet away, Marcus could see her expression change. Her jaw tightened. Her hands curled into fists. When she looked up at him, there was something new in her eyes. "Pity. Should call the police now," she said softly. "Not to arrest me. To protect yourself?" Marcus approached the hole slowly, his legs feeling like they belonged to someone else. The morning suddenly felt too bright, too sharp, too real. He reached the edge and looked down. The smell hit him first. Earth and metal and something else. Something wrong, buried less than 2 feet down, was a metal lockbox. Its surface was scratched and dented, like someone had tried to destroy it but gave up halfway through. Marcus could see rust around the edges. Fresh rust, which meant it hadn't been there long. "Don't touch it," Camilla warned. "Your fingerprints are the last thing that box needs right now." Marcus stumbled backward. His radio felt heavy on his belt. His phone burned in his pocket. 7 years. 7 years of trusting his employer. 7 years of believing he was protecting a legitimate businessman. "What's in it?" he asked, though part of him didn't want to know. "Evidence," Camilla said. She pulled out her phone and started taking pictures. "Financial records, most likely. Maybe communications. Your boss knew his partner was going to talk to the authorities, so he made sure that conversation never happened." The words landed like punches. Marcus thought about his daughter, about the college fund that had grown suspiciously large last year when Mr. Thornton had given him that unexpected bonus. He thought about the expensive watch on his wrist, a gift. For 7 years of loyalty, blood money. "I didn't know," Marcus whispered. "I swear to God I didn't know." "I believe you," Camilla said, and she sounded sincere. "That's why I'm here. Zeus identified you as innocent 3 days ago when we were surveilling the property. You pet the neighbor's cat every morning when you think no one's watching. You helped that delivery driver change his tire last week. You're a good man working for a monster." Zeus trotted back to her side and sat down. His tail wagged slowly like he was proud of himself. Marcus stared at the dog with a mixture of awe and terror. "How does he know?" Marcus asked. "How does a dog know to dig right there?" "Cadaver training, mostly," Camilla explained. "But Zeus is special. I've trained him to detect more than just bodies. He can smell blood residue, gunpowder, disturbed earth, even stress hormones in soil where violence occurred. He's found evidence in 17 cold cases. Gotten 12 convictions? 12 people were in prison because of a dog." The thought made Marcus's head spin. "Your boss made a mistake," Camilla continued. "He buried evidence on property he doesn't fully own. There's an old easement that runs through this section. Technically public access for utility maintenance. Which means Zeus had every legal right to be here. And so do I." Marcus finally understood. This wasn't a break-in. It was an investigation. And he'd almost stopped it from happening. "What do I do?" he asked, hating how small his voice sounded. Camilla looked at him for a long moment. Zeus looked at him too, panting softly in the warming sun. "You have two choices," she said. "You can open that gate right now and let me finish my work. Help me document everything Zeus finds. Cooperate with the investigation that's already underway."
Or she didn't finish.
She didn't have to. Marcus looked at his wedding ring. He thought about his wife's laugh, his daughter's graduation next spring, the life he'd built on a foundation that was crumbling beneath his feet. He pressed the button to open the gate. The motor hummed to life. The iron bars swung slowly inward. Zeus stood up, ready to work. Camilla gave Marcus a nod of respect. "Just made the right choice," she said. But as the gate fully opened, a black SUV appeared at the end of the driveway. It was moving fast. Too fast. And Marcus recognized the driver immediately. Mr. Thornton had come home early. The SUV skidded to a stop 30 feet from where they stood. Dust billowed around the tires. Through the windshield, Marcus could see Mr. Thornton's face, twisted with fury. The engine cut off, and in the sudden silence, Marcus could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. Camilla didn't move. Zeus didn't move. Only Marcus flinched. "Get away from my property," Mr. Thornton snarled as he climbed out of the vehicle. He was still wearing his business suit, but his tie was loose and his shirt wrinkled. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in days. Like a man who'd been running from something and just realized he'd been caught. "Your property ends at the fence line," Camilla said calmly. "We're on public easement. You can check the county records if you'd like." Mr. Thornton's eyes landed on the hole Zeus had dug. His face went pale. For just a second, Marcus saw a genuine fear flash across his employer's features. Then it was replaced by something harder, something dangerous. "Marcus," Mr. Thornton said, turning his attention to the guard. "Close that gate. Call the police. This woman is trespassing." Marcus's hand went to his radio, but it felt like lifting a boulder. He looked at Camilla, who remained perfectly still, then at Zeus, who watched Mr. Thornton with the kind of focus that made the hair on Marcus's neck stand up. "I said close the gate." Mr. Thornton shouted. "Sir, I—" Marcus's voice died in his throat. He'd never disobeyed an order. Not once in 7 years. But he thought about that metal box buried in the ground. About the photograph Camilla had shown him. About 12 people sitting in prison cells because of what a trained dog had found. "The police are already on their way," Camilla said. She held up her phone. "I called them 20 minutes ago. They should be here in about 5 minutes. Maybe less." Mr. Thornton's jaw clenched. He took a step toward Camilla, and Zeus immediately stood up. The dog's body language changed completely. His ears flattened. His lips pulled back slightly. He didn't bark, but the warning was clear. "Call off your mutt," Mr. Thornton hissed. "Zeus isn't a mutt," Camilla replied. "He's a trained evidence detection specialist. And he's already found what we came for." She gestured to the hole. "You buried your partner's financial records. The ones that prove you've been embezzling from your company for 3 years. The ones he was going to turn over to federal investigators." "You don't know what you're talking about, don't I?" Camilla's voice was sharp now. "Thomas Brennan, your business partner, reported missing 3 weeks ago. His car found abandoned near the river. Everyone assumed he ran because of financial troubles. But you and I both know different." Mr. Thornton's hands curled into fists. Marcus watched the exchange like a spectator at a tennis match, unable to look away. "Thomas was weak," Mr. Thornton said. "He didn't understand what it takes to build something real. To succeed, he understood right from wrong," Camilla shot back. "That's why you killed him." The words hung in the air like gunshot echoes. Marcus felt his legs weaken. Killed, not just embezzlement. Not just fraud, murder. "You're insane," Mr. Thornton said, but his voice wavered. "I never touched Thomas. He ran because he couldn't handle the pressure." Camilla tilted her head. "Zeus," she said softly. "Find." The German shepherd immediately started moving. He trotted past Mr. Thornton toward the main house, nose working the air. Mr. Thornton watched him go, his expression unreadable. "What's he doing?" Mr. Thornton asked. "His job," Camilla answered. "Zeus has been trained to track post-mortem scent trails, even ones that are weeks old. If Thomas died on this property, Zeus will find where." Mr. Thornton lunged toward her. Marcus shouted a warning. But Camilla was already moving, stepping aside smoothly as Mr. Thornton stumbled past her. The older man caught himself and spun around, breathing hard. "Stop him!" Mr. Thornton screamed at Marcus. "Stop that dog! He's destroying my property." But Zeus wasn't destroying anything. He was walking methodically around the perimeter of the house, checking the foundation, the bushes, the decorative rocks. He was working a scent trail invisible to human noses but clear as daylight. To his trained senses, Marcus finally found his voice. "Sir, I think you should wait for the police." Mr. Thornton turned to stare at him. The look in his eyes made Marcus take a step back. This wasn't his boss anymore. This was a stranger, a dangerous one. "You're fired," Mr. Thornton said coldly. "Effective immediately. Get off my property." "He's on public easement," Camilla reminded him. "Just like me. Just like Zeus. And he's about to be a witness in a federal investigation. So threatening him probably isn't your smartest move right now." In the distance, Marcus heard sirens. Faint but growing louder. The police were coming. His hands started shaking. Everything was happening too fast. Zeus stopped near the old garden shed at the back of the property. He sat down and barked twice. Sharp. Certain. Camilla pulled out her phone and started recording video as she walked toward the dog. "Zeus has alerted to a specific location," she narrated into the camera. "Approximately 40 feet from the main house, near a storage structure. Time is 9:47 a.m. Police are en route." Mr. Thornton ran toward the shed. Not to stop Camilla. To get there first. Marcus shouted, finally moving, but he was too slow. Mr. Thornton yanked open the shed door and disappeared inside. There was a crash. The sound of something metal hitting concrete. Then silence. Camilla reached the doorway and looked inside. Her expression didn't change, but she immediately stepped back and pulled Zeus away from the entrance. "Marcus," she called out, "don't come any closer. And when the police arrive, tell them we need a forensics team and a crime scene investigator." Marcus's stomach turned to ice. "What's in there?" Camilla met his eyes. "Proof," she said quietly. "More than we needed. More than I wanted to find." The sirens were louder now, close. Marcus could see flashing lights at the end of the driveway. But Mr. Thornton hadn't come out of the shed, and in the morning sunlight was Zeus sitting calmly at Camilla's feet. Marcus realized his entire life had just changed forever. The truth was finally here, and it was so much worse than he could have imagined. Asterisk. 2 police cars pulled through the open gate. Officers emerged with hands on their weapons, assessing the scene with practiced caution. An older detective stepped forward, his gray hair catching the sunlight. He looked at Camilla and nodded once. Recognition passed between them. "Detective Morris," Camilla said. "Glad you could make it, Camilla Reed," the detective replied. His voice carried the weight of someone who'd seen too much. "When you called about possible evidence, I didn't expect this." He gestured at the property, at Zeus sitting alert and professional. At Marcus standing frozen near the gate, Zeus found the financial records buried near the fence, Camilla explained, pointing to the hole. "Metal lockbox. I haven't touched it. And then he tracked something to that shed." She paused. "Mr. Thornton is inside. He went in about 3 minutes ago. He hasn't come out." Detective Morris's expression darkened. He signaled to 2 officers. "Check the shed, carefully." The officers approached with their flashlights drawn. One peered through the doorway and immediately radioed for backup. His voice was tight. "Detective, you need to see this." Marcus felt his knees buckle. He sat down hard on the ground, his security uniform suddenly feeling like a costume from someone else's life. A younger officer approached him with a notepad. Asking questions Marcus could barely hear through the ringing in his ears. Detective Maurice disappeared into the shed. When he emerged 2 minutes later, his face was grim. He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Yeah, it's Maurice. I need forensics at the Thornton estate. In the medical examiner, we've got remains. Partial burial. Been here maybe 2 to 3 weeks based on decomposition." Pause. "No, Thornton's alive. He's sitting in there next to evidence of his own crime. Appears to be in shock." Camilla walked Zeus away from the scene, giving the police room to work. She crouched down and stroked the dog's head. "Good boy," she whispered. "You did so good, Zeus." The German shepherd leaned into her touch, his tail wagging slowly. To anyone watching, he looked like an ordinary dog getting praise from his owner. But Marcus knew better now. Zeus had just solved a murder, had just exposed a killer, had just destroyed and saved lives in the span of 30 minutes. Another police car arrived. Then an unmarked SUV, then a van with forensics printed on the side. The quiet morning erupted into controlled chaos. Yellow tape went up. Cameras came out. People in white suits began documenting everything. The young officer interviewing Marcus helped him to his feet. "Sir, I'm going to need you to come to the station to give a full statement. You're not under arrest, but you're a material witness now. Material witness." The words felt unreal. Yesterday, Marcus had been a security guard with a simple life. Today, he was part of a murder investigation. Detective Morris approached Camilla. "Walk me through it." "From the beginning." She nodded and began to explain. "Thomas Brennan's sister hired me 6 days ago. She didn't believe her brother had run away. Said he was terrified in the weeks before he disappeared. Told her he'd discovered something about his business partner. Something that could send Thornton to prison for years. And she came to you because the police had already closed the missing person case," Camilla said bluntly. "Ruled him a voluntary disappearance. No signs of foul play. His car by the river suggested suicide, maybe, but no body. No evidence. Nothing to investigate." Detective Morris winced. Marcus understood why. The police had missed it. They'd let a killer walk free. "Zeus and I started surveillance 4 days ago," Camilla continued. "We mapped the property lines, identified the easement access points. Zeus kept alerting to 2 specific locations. The fence line, where we found the lockbox, and that shed. I knew we had something. But I needed legal access to investigate properly. So you waited until the owner was gone and convinced the guard to let you in." "I showed him evidence that his employer was dirty," Camilla corrected. "He made his own choice. A brave one." Marcus felt tears burning in his eyes. Brave. He'd never felt less brave in his life. 2 officers emerged from the shed, supporting Mr. Thornton between them. The businessman looked 20 years older than he had that morning. His eyes were vacant. His hands hung limp at his sides. He didn't resist as they guided him toward a police car. He didn't even seem to see Marcus as they passed. "James Thornton," Detective Maurice said formally. "You're under arrest for the murder of Thomas Brennan. You have the right to remain silent." The words faded into background noise as Marcus watched his former employer being placed into the back of a police car. 7 years. 7 years of saying "Good morning, sir," and "Have a good day." Sir, to a man who'd killed his business partner and buried him in a shed? Camilla appeared beside Marcus. Zeus was with her, calm and steady. "How are you holding up?" she asked. Marcus laughed. It came out broken and strange. "I don't know. I feel like I'm in a nightmare. Like I'm going to wake up and it'll be yesterday morning and none of this will be real." "It's real," Camilla said gently. "And I'm sorry you got caught in the middle of it. But you did the right thing. When it mattered most, you chose truth over loyalty. That takes courage." "I'm going to lose everything," Marcus whispered. "My job. My income. How am I going to pay for my daughter's college? How am I going to face my wife and tell her I worked for a murderer?" Zeus pushed his head under Marcus's hand. The gesture was so simple, so pure, that Marcus felt something break inside him. He sank his fingers into the dog's fur and just held on. "You're not going to lose everything," Camilla said. "You're a witness in a federal case now. That comes with protections. And honestly, your testimony about Thornton's behavior over the past 3 weeks is going to be crucial to the prosecution. The late-night deliveries. The unusual visitors. The way he acted after his partner disappeared. You noticed all of it. Marcus nodded slowly. He had noticed. He'd just been too afraid to ask questions. Detective Morris called Camilla over. She gave Marcus's shoulder a gentle squeeze before walking away. Zeus stayed behind, sitting close to Marcus's leg. The dog looked up at him with those intelligent eyes. You knew, didn't you? Marcus asked softly. You knew everything from the moment you saw me. Zeus tilted his head. His tail thumped once against the ground. I wish I was more like you, Marcus continued. You just do what's right without hesitating. Without being afraid, without worrying about the consequences. The dog leaned against him, solid and warm. And somehow, with Zeus sitting beside him and the morning sun warming his face, Marcus felt something he hadn't expected. Hope. Maybe he hadn't been brave, but he'd been good enough when it counted, and maybe that was all anyone could really ask. 3 hours later, Marcus sat in an interview room at the police station. The walls were beige. The coffee was terrible. But Detective Morris was patient, walking him through every detail of the past 3 weeks with careful precision. The night of October 15th, the detective said, checking his notes, You logged unusual activity. A delivery truck arrived at 11 p.m. Can you describe what you saw? Marcus closed his eyes, forcing himself to remember. 2 men. They backed the truck up to the service entrance, unloaded something heavy wrapped in canvas. Mr. Thornton was there personally to supervise. He never did that for regular deliveries. He told me it was equipment for renovating the guest house. Told me not to log it officially because of insurance reasons. And you believed him? I wanted to, Marcus admitted. He was my boss. He'd always treated me fairly. Paid me well. I didn't have a reason to doubt him until ... double quotes he trailed off. Till today, Detective Morris finished. When a woman and her dog showed you that fairness and truth aren't always the same thing. Marcus nodded. He thought about Camilla's calm voice. Zeus's intelligent eyes. The way everything had unraveled so quickly once someone finally asked the right questions. The interview lasted another 40 minutes. Every detail mattered. Every observation Marcus had dismissed as unimportant suddenly became crucial. The strange phone calls Mr. Thornton took at odd hours. The way he'd avoided the shed for weeks. The anxiety that had been rolling off him like heat. When it was finally over, Detective Marie stood and shook Marcus's hand. You're free to go. We'll need you to testify when this goes to trial, but for now, go home to your family. Outside the station, Marcus found Camilla waiting on a bench. Zeus lay at her feet, dozing in the afternoon sun. She looked up when Marcus approached. How'd it go? She asked. I told them everything, Marcus said. He sat down heavily beside her. I keep thinking about all the times I could have said something. Could have noticed. Could have stopped this from happening. Can't think like that, Camilla said firmly. Thornton was careful. He was smart. He'd been planning this for months. You were a security guard doing your job. You're not responsible for his crimes. But Thomas Brennan is dead because I didn't ask questions. Camilla was quiet for a moment. Zeus lifted his head and looked at Marcus with those knowing eyes. Thomas Brennan is dead because James Thornton killed him, Camilla said finally. Not because you missed warning signs you weren't trained to recognize. Not because you trusted your employer. Thornton is responsible. No one else. Marcus wanted to believe that. He really did. But the guilt sat heavy in his chest. How do you do it? He asked. How do you deal with finding these things? With uncovering horrible truths? Camilla looked down at Zeus and smiled sadly. I focus on the justice part. On giving families answers. On making sure the truth comes out, even when it's ugly, and Zeus helps. Dogs don't carry guilt. They just do their jobs and trust that the humans will figure out the rest. He's an incredible dog, Marcus said. I've never seen anything like him. He's 1 in a million, Camilla agreed. She scratched behind Zeus's ears, and the dog's tail thumped happily. I found him at a shelter 7 years ago. He'd been surrendered twice. Too energetic, they said. Too focused. Too intense. But I saw potential. I saw intelligence and drive and a desire to work. So I took a chance. And now he solves murders. Now he helps people find closure, Camilla corrected. That's what this is really about. Thomas Brennan's sister can finally bury her brother. Can finally grieve properly instead of wondering if he's out there somewhere suffering. That's what Zeus gave her today. Peace. A text from his wife. Are you okay? The police called me. I'm so scared. He stared at the message, trying to find words that wouldn't terrify her more than she already was. Tell her you're safe, Camilla said, reading his expression. Tell her you'll explain everything when you get home. Tell her you love her. The details can wait. Marcus typed out a response. Safe. Coming home soon. I love you. We'll talk. I don't know what to do next, Marcus admitted. I don't have a job anymore. I'm going to be dragged through a trial. Everyone will know I worked for a killer. Who's going to hire me after this? Camilla reached into her jacket and pulled out a business card. She handed it to Marcus. I'm expanding my operation, she said. Training more dogs. Taking on more cases. I need someone with security experience. Someone who understands surveillance and documentation. Someone who knows how to stay calm under pressure. She paused. Someone who makes the right choice when it matters most. Marcus stared at the card. Read Investigation Services. Specializing in evidence detection and cold case resolution. Oh, you want to hire me? He asked, disbelief coloring his voice. After everything that happened today, especially after what happened today, Camilla said. You had every reason to side with your employer, to protect your job and your income, but when you saw that photograph, when you realized something was wrong, you chose truth. That's exactly the kind of person I need on my team. Zeus stood up and walked over to Marcus. The dog sat down in front of him and offered his paw. Marcus laughed. It was the first real laugh he'd had all day. He took Zeus's paw and shook it solemnly. Is that a yes? Camilla asked with a small smile. Marcus looked at the business card, then at Zeus, then at Camilla. For 7 years, he'd worked for a man who'd seemed trustworthy, but was hiding darkness. Now a woman he'd just met was offering him a chance to work for truth instead of lies, to help find justice instead of protecting secrets. It was terrifying. It was uncertain. It was completely insane. When do I start? Marcus asked. Camilla's smile widened. Give yourself a week. Spend time with your family. Testify in the preliminary hearings. Process what happened. Then come find me. We've got 17 open cases, and Zeus can't solve them all by himself. Marcus pocketed the business card. For the first time all day, the weight on his chest felt a little lighter. As he stood to leave, Zeus walked beside him to the parking lot. The dog's tail wagged steadily, and when Marcus reached his car, Zeus sat down and looked up at him one more time. Thank you, Marcus whispered. For finding the truth, for giving me a chance to be part of something good, Zeus barked once, short and affirming. Then he trotted back to Camilla. He was waiting by her black car. Marcus drove home with the setting sun in his rearview mirror. He had no idea what he would say to his wife. No idea how he would explain the last 8 hours. No idea what his future looked like now, but somewhere in his pocket was a business card. And somewhere in his memory was the image of a German shepherd sitting calmly beside evidence of a crime, doing what he was trained to do, finding truth, no matter how deeply it was buried. 6 months later, Marcus stood at the gates of a different estate. This one belonged to a woman who'd hired Camilla after her husband had vanished without a trace. The police had stopped investigating after 3 weeks. But the wife knew something was wrong. She could feel it. Zeus sat beside Marcus, patient and alert. The German shepherd had become his partner over the past months, his teacher, his reminder that truth always left traces, no matter how carefully someone tried to hide it. You ready, boy? Marcus asked softly. Zeus's tail wagged once. His ears perked up. He was always ready. Camilla approached from the client's house, her expression serious but calm. The wife says her husband was having financial troubles. Business partner pressuring him about missing funds. He disappeared the day before he was supposed to meet with auditors. Marcus felt a chill of recognition. Sounds familiar? Too familiar, Camilla agreed. Which is why we're here. Zeus. The dog stood immediately and began working the property line. His nose swept the ground, the air, everything. Marcus followed with a camera, documenting Zeus's path. He'd learned so much in 6 months. How to read the dog's body language. How to recognize an alert. How to document evidence properly for court. The trial had been brutal. Marcus had testified for 3 days. Defense attorneys had tried to paint him as incompetent, as complicit, as everything except what he really was. A man who'd made the right choice when it mattered. The jury had convicted James Thornton of first-degree murder in less than 4 hours. Thomas Brennan's sister had hugged Marcus outside the courthouse, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she'd whispered. "Thank you for letting the truth in." Marcus was helping other families find their own truths. It didn't pay as well as his security job had. The hours were longer. The work was emotionally exhausting. But every time Zeus found evidence, every time they gave a family closure, Marcus felt something his old job had never given him. Purpose. Zeus stopped near a tool shed at the back of the property. He sat down and looked at Marcus. The alert was clear. "Ah, Camilla," Marcus called. "We've got something." She joined them quickly, her phone already recording. "Zeus has alerted to the storage structure at the northeast corner of the property. Time is 2:34 p.m. Weather is clear. No contamination of the scene. They'd done this dance a dozen times now. Each case was different, but the process was always the same. Follow Zeus. Document everything. Let the truth speak for itself." The police arrived 20 minutes later. Detective Maurice stepped out of his car with a tired smile. He'd become a regular fixture in their cases. At first, he'd been skeptical of using a civilian dog handler. But after Zeus's track record, even the most doubtful officers had become believers. "What have we got?" Maurice asked. "Possible burial site," Camilla said. Zeus alerted strong. "I'm confident there's something here." The forensics team moved in with their equipment. Ground-penetrating radar. Soil samples. Careful, methodical work. Marcus watched from a distance, holding Zeus's leash. The dog was calm now, his job done. He deserved rest and treats and praise. "Good boy," Marcus said, scratching behind Zeus's ears. "You did so good." Zeus leaned against his leg, panting softly. To anyone else, he looked like a regular dog. But Marcus knew better. Zeus was a hero who just happened to walk on 4 legs. 2 hours later, they had confirmation. Remains buried shallow, just like Thomas Brennan had been. The missing husband hadn't run from his problems. He'd been silenced by his business partner, who was already being arrested at his office downtown. Another family would get closure. Another killer would face justice. All because a dog had been trained to find truth in the places humans couldn't see. Marcus drove home that evening with Zeus in the passenger seat. The German shepherd looked out the window, watching the world pass by with those intelligent eyes. He didn't know he was extraordinary. He just knew he had a job and he was good at it. "You know what?" Marcus said to the dog. 6 months ago, I thought my life was over. Thought I'd lost everything. But you and Camilla showed me something important." Zeus glanced at him, then returned to watching the scenery. "Sometimes losing everything is how you find out what really matters," Marcus continued. "I had a job I thought was important. Security, safety, protection. But I was protecting the wrong things. Protecting secrets instead of truth. Loyalty to a paycheck instead of loyalty to what's right." His phone buzzed. A text from his daughter. "Got accepted to State University. They offered me a scholarship." Marcus felt tears sting his eyes. A scholarship. His testimony at the trial had made headlines. His story had gone viral. Universities had reached out, offering his daughter support. Strangers had donated to a fund they'd set up. The community had rallied around a man who'd chosen truth over security. He'd been so afraid of losing everything, but he'd gained something more valuable: respect, purpose, peace. "We did good work today," Marcus told Zeus. "Another family gets answers. Another bad person faces consequences. That's what we do now. We find the truth, no matter where it's buried." Zeus barked softly, as if agreeing. That night, Marcus sat on his back porch with his wife. His daughter was inside, excitedly planning her college future. The evening was cool and clear. Stars were beginning to appear in the darkening sky. "Do you miss it?" his wife asked. "The old job. The simple days." Marcus thought about standing at that gate 6 months ago. About the moment Camilla had shown him that photograph. About the choice he'd had to make in seconds that would define the rest of his life. "No," he said honestly. "I miss feeling safe. I miss not knowing how dark the world can be, but I don't miss the ignorance. I don't miss protecting lies." His wife took his hand. "I'm proud of you. You know that, right?" "I know," Marcus said, "but I'm not the hero of this story. That would be a certain German shepherd who's currently asleep on our couch, dreaming about whatever good dogs dream about." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then his wife asked, "Are you scared? Going into these situations, not knowing what you'll find?" Every time Marcus admitted, "But Zeus isn't scared, and Camilla isn't scared. So I figure if they're brave enough to search for truth, I can be brave enough to help them find it." "What happens next?" Marcus smiled. "Camilla's training to more dogs. We've got funding from 3 different foundations. Requests from families all over the country. We're going to help a lot of people get the answers they deserve. And the trial." "Thornton's appeals?" "Let him appeal," Marcus said. "The evidence doesn't change. Zeus found the truth, and truth doesn't care about lawyers or appeals or anything except being known." Inside the house, Zeus barked in his sleep, probably chasing something in his dreams. Or maybe finding evidence in some imaginary case where justice needed a four-legged. Hero Marcus looked up at the stars and thought about Thomas Brennan's sister. About the missing husband's wife from today. About all the families still waiting for answers. Still hoping someone would care enough to look, to ask questions. To refuse to accept easy lies over difficult truths. "Tomorrow we start a new case," Marcus said. "Missing teenage girl. Been gone for 2 years. Police think she ran away. Mother thinks something happened. Camilla believes the mother, and you." "I believe Zeus," Marcus said simply. "He hasn't been wrong yet." His wife squeezed his hand. "Then I believe Zeus too." That was the thing about truth Marcus had learned. Once you started looking for it, really looking, you couldn't stop. And once you found it, no matter how painful, it set you free. He thought about the man he'd been 6 months ago. The security guard who'd valued comfort over courage, who'd traded awareness for a paycheck, who'd protected gates and ignored what was happening behind them. That man was gone. In his place was someone new. Someone who understood that real security didn't come from locked gates and surveillance cameras. It came from being able to look yourself in the mirror and know you'd chosen right when it mattered most. Inside, Zeus woke from his dream and padded out to the porch. He sat down between Marcus and his wife, looking out at the night with calm, watchful eyes. Always alert, always ready, always faithful to the truth. Marcus reached down and stroked the dog's head. "Thank you," he whispered, "for finding me that day, for showing me what courage looks like, for reminding me that the right choice is always worth making, even when it costs everything." Zeus leaned into his touch and sighed contentedly and under the stars. With his family safe and his purpose clear, Marcus understood something profound. Sometimes the truth doesn't set you free by being easy. It sets you free by demanding you become the person brave enough to face it. He'd been that person once. On a morning that felt like a lifetime ago, and with Zeus by his side, he would be that person every day for the rest of his life.